House of the Dragon Season 2's book changes evoked a range of reactions from readers, but this George R. R. Martin novella validates them. While I believe House of the Dragon Season 2 was flawed for a number of reasons, I believe the widespread narrative about why is often oversimplified. It's easy to critique an adaptation for being different than the source material, but it's more challenging to understand why. Fire and Blood is an expansion piece to the A Song of Ice and Fire novels, and there's a particular way Martin wrote it that made the text ripe for a TV adaptation, though it would always create contention. Fire and Blood is a narrative that requires some blanks to be filled in for the TV format, and these blanks have allowed the show's writers to approach the story in their own way. This has meant an emphasis on Rhaenyra Targaryen and Alicent Hightower as the two main characters and representatives of their factions. A common critique of House of the Dragon is that Rhaenyra and Alicent's friendship and duality consume too much time, especially since Aegon is the figurehead of the Greens. There are fans of the series who believe Rhaenyra and Aegon should be the focus instead, given that they're the ones competing for power. The Princess and the Queen was the first Dance of the Dragon spin-off story. George R. R. Martin wrote the dance with Rhaenyra and Alicent at its core. Before Fire and Blood and before The Rogue Prince, the primary story that explained the Dance of the Dragons to audiences was The Princess and the Queen. The dance was mentioned numerous times in the A Song of Ice and Fire novels, but this novella was the first deep dive into the Civil War with a concrete timeline of events. Of course, this story takes a zoomed-out approach to the war from beginning to end, but the fact that it's named The Princess and the Queen is symbolic of the dance's core elements. Alicent and Rhaenyra weren't even friends in the novella like they are in the show, but their rivalry is still at the core of the dance. Alicent and Rhaenyra's story has always been the core of House of the Dragon. Like it or not, these women are the center of the show. Emily Carey's Alicent in a blue dress and Millie Alcock's Rhaenyra in a yellow dress smiling at each other in House of the Dragon. In terms of House of the Dragon, Rhaenyra and Alicent's duality has always been at the forefront. Their friendship was a crucial element of the first season, and their divide was critical to the instigation of the dance. Aegon might be the one who's crowned king, but it's Alicent's decision that makes it so. Even the divide between the Blacks and the Greens is relevant to their characters. It's not simply just that the Targaryen banner is black and the Hightower banner is green. The names for these factions were chosen because Rhaenyra was known for wearing black and Alicent for wearing green. The writers of House of the Dragon changed their ages and added the aspect of them being friends, and I fully believe that this was a positive change that added emotional stakes to the dance. Their conflict isn't just about who gets to rule, it's about how their respective circumstances turned them against each other. Alicent was compelled to marry an older man whom she wasn't attracted to, in order to fulfill her father's wishes. Rhaenyra was given sexual and marital freedom by her father's inaction, and the choices she made ultimately resulted in challenges to her legitimacy as an heir. Both of these circumstances not only made their lives more challenging but also turned the two women against each other. Rhaenyra hated Alicent for marrying her father, even though Alicent was pressured into it. Alicent hated Rhaenyra for her freedom, even though it strengthened Aegon's claim to the throne. House of the Dragon Season 2 still had issues, but this isn't one of them. Rhaenyra and Alicent's duality continues to be a strong suit. Alicent wields a knife at Rhaenyra in a scene from House of the Dragon. Let's be clear, I'm not trying to explain that House of the Dragon Season 2 was a perfect season of television. This season has flaws, but the focus on Rhaenyra and Alicent isn't the problem. Even exploring the possibility of romantic interest between them makes sense in the context of this story, and it's not just to push some political narrative. House of the Dragon's romance tease between Rhaenyra and Alicent might feel contrived to some, but I believe this is a crucial aspect of the show. Both of these characters have had their sexual lives defined by society and orchestrated by their families, and it shouldn't be surprising that they have suppressed curiosities about their sexuality. While I typically wouldn't even address the silly critiques that House of the Dragon is too focused on girl power, I'll also remind readers that the anthology book this short story was released in is Dangerous Women. This is a fantasy anthology that exemplifies women's strength in speculative fiction. That is what George R. R. Martin wanted to write about.